Hello and welcome to CNR Extra on City TV. My name is Nana Tufo Boateng. Coming up. Minister for Finance assures measures and policies being implemented by the government will ensure an economic turnaround in the next 2.5 years.
Overall GDP growth of 3.7% down from 5.8%. Non-oil GDP growth of 4.3% down from 5.9%.
Police in the Ashanti region began investigations into an incident where 3 police officers with the formed police unit allegedly threatened to kill the Fuase District Police Commander. As the last batch of this year's Hajj pilgrims to Mecca touched down in Accra, they laud the Hajj Board of Ghana for a successful religious exercise.
According to those who have been there before, there has been a lot of improvements and a lot of, changes over there.
Motorists who drive on the Coca-Cola Road at Spintex in the Tema West municipality lament its bad nature.
The condition of the road is really disturbing. You see, somewhere around Friday, one big truck even fell on this road, and then it has been consistent.
Many thanks for staying with us. Let me say good morning to you, Jude Mensah Duncan, and welcome you to the show.
Thank you so much, Nana Tufo. Always a pleasure to be
Great
here.
stuff. We also like to hear from you, our viewers, via the WhatsApp number 0550-585832. Send in your thoughts, your comments, and your contributions to the show. Let's go straight into our first story. We start from the House of the Legislature, where the Finance Minister yesterday presented the mid-year budget review.
The Minister for Finance, Ken Oforiatta, has indicated that the measures and policies being implemented by the government will ensure an economic turnaround in the next 2.5 years. According to him, the raft of measures, including an enhanced domestic program to be implemented with the IMF, will put the economy back on a sound footing.
Speaking in Parliament during the presentation of the mid-year budget review, the minister also revised the government's economic targets. There is more in this report.
The minister presented a statement to the House instead of a motion and indicated that he would not be seeking additional funds from Parliament. He touched on the country's return to the International Monetary Fund for a program.
Let me take this opportunity to discuss the issue of our return to the IMF. Yes, I know the government assured the nation of a Ghana beyond aid, and our plans and programs for economic transformation have been designed to achieve just that. And indeed, I did say that Ghana would not embark on an IMF program. We did not just say it, we also took measures towards the attainment of that objective, including the passage of the Fiscal Responsibility Act and instituting a number of irreversibility measures, and also launching the Ghana Cares Obatampa program for economic revitalization and transformation. Unfortunately, unprecedented global developments, Mr. Speaker, over the past 2 years, especially in these last 6 months, have really and truly disrupted our efforts.
He also announced the revenue measures that will show up the government's efforts to revive the economy.
The following revenue measures will be pursued in the remaining half of the year. EVAT, the digitalization of our revenue mobilization processes remains a key focus. Therefore, the GRA is finalizing all relevant processes to facilitate the effective collection of VAT revenue. This includes a proposed amendment of the Value Added Tax Act 870 to enable its electronic collection effective 1st October 2022. Property rates. It's fundamentally important that together with the Ministry of Local Government, we continue to assist and support the assemblies, not only to expand their revenue base, but to do so with optimal efficiency and effectiveness. Therefore, the collective efforts of the local government, the assemblies, and the GRA in launching an end-to-end digitized process will be realized in August. Extension of waiver of interest and penalty to December 2022, and introduction of upfront payment of VAT on importers not registered for VAT with implementation start date of 1st October 2022.
In view of the challenging times domestically and globally, the government presented its intention to revise its economic growth targets.
Based on the development for the first 6 months of 2022 and outlook for the rest of the year, we have accordingly revised the macro fiscal targets for 2022 as follows. Overall GDP growth of 3.7% down from 5.8%. Non-oil GDP growth of 4.3% down from 5.9%. End period inflation of 28.5% up from 8%. The overall deficit of 6.6% of GDP down from 7.4%. Primary surplus of 0.4% of GDP up from a surplus of 0.1% of GDP, and the gross international reserves of not less than 3 months import cover. Mr. Speaker, the 2022 fiscal framework has also been revised to the fiscal performance for the first half of the year, including shortfalls in the expected yields from the new 2022 revenue measures.
The minister also announced that all new roads constructed under a public-private partnership arrangement would be tolled.
Mr. Speaker, under the Ministry of Roads and Highways Public-Private Partnership Program for Road Infrastructure, the design, build, finance, operate, and maintain Accra-Tema Motorway and Extension PPP project 27.7 kilometers is at the procurement stage. Site work are expected to commence in September 2022. The Government of Ghana has made a strategic decision in line with the Public-Private Partnership Act 2020 to procure the Accra-Tema Motorway and Extensions project through GIF, with a mandate to deliver a GIF-led PPP financing solution where maximum funds are raised from the majority on behalf of the Ghanaian government. The draft concession agreement between GIF and Ministry of Roads and Highways is currently under review by GIF, Ministry of Roads and Highways, the Office of the Attorney General, and the Ministry of Finance. When completed, the concession agreement is expected to be approved by the PPP Committee, Cabinet, and Parliament. The completed road will be tolled.
After the presentation, there were the usual points of approval and dismay, depending on the side of the aisle that the spotlight fell on.
Resign! 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 Resign!
The minority responded to the presentation through its ranking member of finance, Dr. Keslato Forsen.
I just had a copy of the document itself, only to realize that between January 2022, January 2022, and June 2022, the minister responsible for finance and the government has gone to the Bank of Ghana, and they have encouraged the Bank of Ghana to print money worth 22 billion Ghana cedis. They have printed 22 billion Ghana cedis fresh money without the knowledge of Parliament. Colleagues, I am saddened. No wonder inflation is galloping. No wonder that our reserves position is dwindling. Because when you create a new money out of the thin air, what happens is that inflation will go up. And obviously, again, because it's a new money, you will end up losing your reserves because there will be new consumption. I am surprised that in the minister's statement, he failed to alert all of us that he has encouraged the Bank of Ghana to print new money worth 22 billion Ghana cedis, only for us to see it in this document. And you can see it in the media review document, page 97, appendix 2A. And the Bank of Ghana, they have printed 22 billion and 48 million Ghana cedis. 22 billion and 48 million Ghana cedis, new money that they have printed, without approval of Parliament, without informing all of us. This is illegal. It is against the Bank of Ghana Act.
Deputy Majority Leader Alexander Afenyo-Markin indicated that the minority's criticism was born out of only politics.
Posture of the NDC as the usual politics. As Mr. Speaker described, it is unfortunate, and that we all thought this democracy has come far. But they would not want to reason with us by looking at the real issues. It is our submission as a government that we are focusing on reviving the economy. That is why government is still putting in place incentives to support industry. The 1D1F is still a major private sector initiative of this government. That if we are able to industrialize, Ghana will be beyond aid, and that government is focused on. Let me touch on free SHS. We would, for the umpteenth time, at the risk of being repetitive, re-echo the fact that many of our young girls and boys were left out because their parents or guardians could not afford secondary education. I stand here as a member of Parliament. It was by luck and the grace of God that took me through secondary education. If I was not that lucky, if the grace was not sufficient at that time, between 1995 and 1997, I would have dropped out. In my final year at St. Augustine's, it took the bursary of Parkway Syndrome, which bursary I won, that got me to register and pay my final year fees. Can we talk about the many more Ghanaians, then and now, who were in my situation and did not get any help? So I do not want us to water down the investment this government has made in the free SHS. It is a major investment. Millions of Ghanaians are benefiting. And today, somebody from the hinterland can have access to first-class school. This, I believe, we must sustain. And government is saying that it is not giving up on it.
Well, so the mid-year budget review itself is really a confirmation of the government's fiscals, more or less to confirm the projections they made during the budget itself and what they've been able to achieve in terms of revenue generation and, of course, what they've spent in terms of expenditure. But, I mean, a number of things stood out. I mean, the return of rotos, for example, the end to NAPCO, there was the free SHS, the almighty IMF itself was in there. And then, of course, the fact that the government is not seeking additional funds.
I mean, they even mentioned the introduction of the EVAT. So quite a number of new things the government want to do. But, Nana, what were the three things myself and to a very large extent Ghanaians were looking out for in this mid-year budget review? If you ask me, the first thing Ghanaians wanted the finance minister to speak on is to admit that indeed there's a problem. After admitting that there's a problem, the second thing Ghanaians will probably have expected the minister to touch on is the fact that he explains the reasons why we have these problems. So the root causes of these problems.
I mean, I think to be fair, he did. Just that from where I sit, he rode on the wings of the IMF team lead that came to Ghana and what he said.
The third thing I would have wanted him to also touch on, and I'll come to the second thing. The third thing is to explain to Ghanaians what their plans are to mitigate the situation or to rectify the situation. To a very large extent, like you are saying, in page 2, he sort of tried to address that indeed there's a problem. And he mentioned that even for him as a finance minister, it's a tough time because of everything that is happening. But you see, if you go on to some of the reasons why government finds itself in this situation, that's where the inconsistencies are for me. Because not long ago, we heard Baumia talk about the fact that there's been a quadruple whammy in his work. So COVID-19, banking sector crisis, Ukraine and now the finance minister is also telling us that it's just the external shocks, that's COVID-19 and the Ukraine war are the reasons why
the twin disaster.
Are the reasons why we find ourselves here. But you see, if you look further at what we witnessed in Parliament yesterday, I think the main issue affecting our economy, our debt levels are unsustainable. If you listen to the conversation surrounding the IMF, one of the key things government and the IMF will be looking to work on is to assess our debt sustainability. And we understand a debt sustainability analysis will be held in that regard. So basically assessing the state of our finances, our fiscal position, and especially whether or not you are in a position to service our debt. Not long ago, we heard what our total debt stock is as a country, 393 billion Ghana cedis. As of July 2021, it was 332 billion Ghana cedis. You look at the numbers, clearly our fiscals are not in a good position. Our debt is not sustainable. And for the finance minister not to touch on it yesterday in his address, for me, was quite shocking. It looks as if the numbers didn't really look good. I mean, he sort of, also in his presentation, he sort of tried to revise the macroeconomic framework. So GDP growth rate, all of those things would be revised, inflation targets also revised. But you see, the key things affecting our economy for me was not really addressed. Then, of course, free SHS, a lot of people were looking forward to the finance minister commenting about it as to whether there will be a review or not. And
that's the word they did not want to hear.
but you see, like they were discussing on radio on the City Breakfast show this morning, you see, a review in itself is not necessarily cancellation or scrapping up. It's just assessing the progress. I mean, myself, I review my life at a point. I mean,
we all do, but I think for them, really, it's more of a political gimmick than facing the realities of the challenges the free SHS has.
And that is where it's most unfortunate for me. I was listening to Dr. Gideon Boaku yesterday, and to create the impression that free SHS is not a direct consequence of all the problems we are facing in our second cycle institutions.
That cannot be right. I mean, we know the problems that have existed with our education system. I mean, the problems did not have the type of numbers they have today.
So to a very large extent, and we both agree on this table that free SHS in itself is a brilliant idea.
Solid idea.
But it sort of compounded the already existing problems we have. And he went on to talk about the fact that, see, in his defense of free SHS, for instance, if you add all of government expenditure on the banking sector cleanup, which was about some 25 billion Ghana cedis, you add the COVID-19 expenditure.
12 billion could have done.
Well, we've not audited the numbers, so we can't see. Then he talks about the COVID-19 cleanup, which was in some region of 12 billion. He also talks about the banking sector COVID. He says that if you look at all these expenditure, they are more than what government has put into free SHS. But you see, the argument or the leakages in this argument, the loopholes in this argument is the fact that if you ask, like the parents are saying, they should be able to bring in some sort of revenue or some sort of money into it, which will go a long way to also lessen government's burden, government expenditure in that area. So for me, if you look at the key takeaways from the budget, for instance, they mentioned the budget review, they mentioned the NAPCO end of NAPCO by 1st September, some 2.2 billion going into it. Are we saying that money couldn't have been generated or put into other sectors of the economy, driving industrialization to create more jobs? Because, you see, there's been a history of government intervention, job interventions, not really meeting its targets, not working. So it appeared as if it was a knee-jerk solution to a problem. And like you are seeing the ripple effect, you understand their old 9 months arrears. So it was a really mixed feelings. We get the point that he tried to explain to Ghanaians that the problem is there, admitted it for once, even though he and the vice president are on different ropes, because he's just saying it's the external factor, just COVID and Ukraine. But the vice president goes on to list two more. So that inconsistency wasn't really clear. And also the fact that he didn't touch on our debt issues. Roto like you said, we had a minority.
I mean, I would have been very happy if Neil Ate were in this seat. Last Friday, when he was in this seat, I mentioned to him the propensity or the appetite of this government to make a U-turn on some of their policies. And he was laughing. And today, here we are.
I mean, the argument government is making is that so it won't be necessarily a free cut, or it's just for new roads that will be constructed on PPP.
Yeah, exactly. Public-private partnerships.
Arrangement. So, yes, but you see, the minority said it in the past, and the really knee-jerk process government went through by scrapping it, even when it had not scrapping rotos. I mean, even when it had not gone through parliamentary approval, raised a lot of concerns.
I mean, it brings to question how government does its calculations, because I mean, there was an expected target for the e-levy, for which reason they jumped to abolishing rotos.
Yeah.
And now the e-levy did not make the cut, and so we're bringing it back under the guise of paying the road paying for itself after the expansion works have been done.
Clearly, so Nana, like I was saying, the sorts of thinking, Nagrat's Angel Carbon, when he was talking about first, he says it's political ego. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But you see, to take such a rash decision and come back to it again means that maybe government needs to take its time in some of their decisions they make, run it through CSOs, run it through parliament.
Exactly.
Let's Ghanaians have a say. You get
proper stakeholder consultation.
I don't believe the smartest. I mean, government have so many smart people in it. They would have to give credit to them. But I see our national heroes as it stands right now are not only people in government. I mean, we hear people in the private sector. We listen to people from academia comment on some of these things, and it's about time government begins to incorporate the views of all to take national decisions to inure to the benefit of the country. But like I was saying, yesterday's media budget review gave me very mixed feelings, and we need some questions. It left more questions unanswered for me, if you ask.
But did you get a sense or a hint of what lies ahead with respect to the IMF engagement, judging from what the minister mentioned, and even the return to toll collection on the Accra Tamamoto?
Yeah, with regards to the IMF, like I was saying, we understand that a comprehensive debt sustainability analysis would have to be done. The debt sustainability analysis is not just how much money the government owes. It's also assessing if government is in a position to repay. So the foreign exchange or revenue generation, you understand our taxes are not coming in like government expects. So we need all of these things. And also, Nana, let me just quickly add, another really disappointing part of this media budget review was the fact that we heard nothing about e-levy. I mean, all through the 26 abridged version that was put out, there was no mention whatsoever about e-levy. But I only thought it was fair that after 3 months of its being into force, you'd want some updates with regards to monies accrued.
Something you championed or
exactly. So if we are hearing that after 3 months, it's not even meeting 10% of its you see, they don't want to hear the word review.
And they won't agree.
But the truth of the matter is that we need to review some of these things.
We need to do a proper assessment.
That was also disappointing not to hear. But regards to the IMF, like I'm saying, a debt sustainability analysis would have to be done and assess our debt position. 300 and about 54 billion, if you convert the total debt stock, 54 billion US dollars for me is quite significant, and it's nothing to write home about. So we need to really look at some of these things again. And finally, on the road toll, I mean, it's an efficient way of maintenance of our roads. So I don't even understand the decision to scrap it in the first place. I just hope that this new approach to generating road tolls will be taken through Parliament, and the necessary approvals will be done. And also the utilization of the funds will be channeled properly to ensure that we are able to maintain our roads.
Great stuff. Well, I mean, we're just lucky the boots were not converted into toilet facilities. But, I mean, that's just on the lighter side. And then also the revelations in there with respect to the Bank of Ghana having to print some monies. I mean, there are the legal issues with that and all that, but we would have to move on.
Yesterday
move away from
we didn't see it in the budget because it was
we had an abridged version.
So hopefully when the debate begins in Parliament, more information will be coming out on that particular one.
Right. But stay with us on CNR Extra, still ahead. Police in the Ashanti region begin investigations into an incident where 3 police officers with the formed police unit allegedly threatened to kill the Fuase district police commander. We'll be right back with the details. Please stay. You're welcome back. This is CNR Extra on City TV. Let us know what you think. Send us your thoughts and your comments, your contributions via the WhatsApp number 0550-585832. Or you can join the feed on Facebook, that's City TV. On Twitter and Instagram, it's at City TV GH. Let's now take you to the Ashanti region, where we understand some investigations have begun into an incident where 3 officers have threatened to kill a district police commander.
Police in the Ashanti region have begun investigations into an incident where 3 police officers with a formed police unit allegedly threatened to kill the Fwanse District's police commander after the latter saw officers from the FPU conducting a motor check on the Atramayabe-Didat stretch on 20th July 2022.
City News' sources say the police commander, upon seeing the officers from the FPU conducting the search in the middle of the road, parked his car and advised them to stop to avoid an accident. One of the officers, only identified as Corporal Boache, felt offended and engaged in an argument with him.
A source has disclosed to City News that in the course of the argument, Corporal Boache cocked his service rifle and threatened to kill the Fwanse District's police commander, Superintendent Albert Kwanzaa. 3 officers from the Fwanse District's police headquarters then proceeded to the FPU SNAP checkpoint at Yabe and met Corporal Boache together with the rest of the team who were on duty.
Superintendent Albert Kwanzaa instructed Corporal Boache to hand over his service rifle to him, but he refused. The source added that following the incident, 11 officers from the FPU, led by one Chief Inspector Ohene Kakari Ernest, then stormed the Fwanse District Police Headquarters later in the day to harass the district commander.
Chief Inspector Ohene Kakari Ernest then allegedly threatened to kill the district commander if he harasses any of the FPU personnel.
It is quite a serious issue. I mean, for police officers to be threatening to kill a district commander.
Yeah.
I mean, no mean officer than a district commander. It's serious. And then you see there are divisions in there. So it brings to mind what type of relationship exists between the various departments or offices under the police service. Because, and then who does what? We will know that it is for the MTTD, the Motor Transport Traffic Department of the police, to direct traffic or to organize some of these, how do you call it, to make some of these road checks and all that. Now, if an officer is passing and he sees officers from the FPU, this is the formed police unit, who have a different assignment altogether. So, I mean, if he says that, well, maybe where you are doing it will cause more traffic, and so, I mean, it does not warrant threats on his life for you to go back and even bring more men to threaten him.
It's the highest form of irresponsibility on the parts of these 2 police officers, and I expect the law to deal with them and make sure that they are used as a deterrence for other police officers so they don't follow suit. You see, Nana, the issues with our police service, I feel like it's becoming more and more. With each passing day, we are hearing instances of like irresponsible behavior on the part of our unprofessional policing on our part of our. I mean, since the last 2 or 3 weeks, with every news bulletin, there's an instance from Islamic girls to, I mean, so many Ideal College, so many instances you can point out to. At the last count for a production we're working on was about 15. Unfortunately, I didn't bring the list there, but I'm sure I'll be able to pull it up. So, you see, the point I'm making is that police unprofessionalism is becoming the norm in this country, and it's about time we put a stop to it. One way I feel we can curb or address this particular problem is looking at the people we recruit into our police service. I mean, to a very large extent, I feel like our recruitment into the police service has not been done in the right way, because there are personal examples I could cite, and I don't want to come and mention it on national
I mean,
TV.
it's not far-fetched. It's really not far-fetched. Just last week, we heard the minority in Parliament raise concerns even about the training and the period. That's the minority chief whip, Muntaka Mubarak, MP for Aswase, did mention that even the duration for training police personnel in the handling of weapons had been reduced.
It's unfathomable, and like I'm saying, I don't even understand why we allow ourselves as a country to start looking at the recruitment of police officers in this country. Because like you're saying, why would an FPU member of the police service be standing at some random place conducting searches. You get it? So, you see, to a very large extent, there's been a decline in the professionalism in the police service. Like saying the Secret Service in the United States is conducting some random search that you'd expect a police officer by the street to be doing. It doesn't.
And even if so, I mean, per professional standards, there would have been some communication. If a unit of the service wants to conduct an operation somewhere, I mean, there's somebody who heads that jurisdiction.
Yeah.
That how would you? Perhaps I may also have some intel for which reason I want to conduct similar operation within my jurisdiction. So if you're moving there to conduct, at least communicate with me, then I would understand, okay, these people who are charged to do so and so want to do so and so based on this intel. So then I back off and they do it. But you don't randomly just step into my jurisdiction, want to do a motor check,
it's very irresponsible.
What worries me the most? Sorry, what worries me the most is that a chief, how do they call it? Chief inspector actually came back to threaten the district commander that he will kill him if he harasses any FPU officer.
These are serious, and like I'm saying, I expected a statement from the IGP as soon as this issue broke out, telling us what the police is going to do. And like I'm saying, they need to take a strong stance on this particular issue.
Clearly.
Briefly, like I'm saying, recruitment training, a big problem. But then again, the institutions we have in this country, we need to start looking at institutions again. It's becoming more like, it's not becoming more like a meritocracy. It's just about putting people there because of affinity and because of their closeness to power. We don't run countries like that. Today I heard on the breakfast show, Bernard talking about the fact that institutions are, it's not necessarily the building or it's not necessarily the office space. It's a predictable way of getting things done. We need to make sure that the conversation is drummed home to make people know that we can't, we are sitting on a time bomb really if we allow our police to go the direction in which it's headed right now. So like I'm saying, they need to take you start by taking strong and decisive action on this particular instance. Make sure the police officers are punished, make sure the punishment is strong enough to serve as a deterrent to make sure that people don't go on that way. And from that you begin the reformation of our police service by looking at their training, looking at the recruitment, and looking at some other ways you can make the service much more efficient.
Well, it says service with integrity, and it says the police is your friend. Let's begin to say
few weeks hasn't looked like it's service with integrity,
especially after that research finding. But hey, I mean, let's get the police to send the right signals so that some of these things can be nipped in the bud. But we're still staying with sort of a police story, but a rather sad one, where a staff with the Ghana Police Service lost their life after a vehicle they were traveling on got involved in an accident.
Police officer has been reported dead in an accident involving a sino tipper truck and a BMW vehicle at Tema Community 25 Estate Junction. The tipper truck, which was loaded with sand and heading towards Tema, but crashed into the BMW, which was heading towards Dawenya, killing instantly the occupants identified to be a staff of the Ghana Police Service.
Occupants of the tipper truck were, however, not affected by the accident. The trapped, lifeless body of the officer was detached and retrieved by the Ghana National Fire Service and subsequently handed over to the Motor Traffic Transport Department of the Police Service for preservation and further investigation.
A rather sad story there. I mean, it's unfortunate that it involved a police officer, but nevertheless, I mean, regardless of who it is that was involved in the accident that lost their life, whether police or not, I mean, it's time we really put some measures in place to ensure that we curb these road accidents, because it's becoming one too many, actually. And if you check the statistics, they're not looking good. If you check for first quarter 2022, the accidents we've recorded, vehicle accidents, and then deaths per crash. I mean, it's serious. It's nothing to write home about.
True. I mean, and it's even more painful when people or servicemen who put their lives always in harm's way for our sake have to end up this way. And of course, it's painful if it's any other person too. But you see, Nana, it goes back to the conversation on what we are doing to make sure our roads are safe for all of us to travel. Yesterday on the show, I was raising the point that if an organization like the National Road Safety Commission is busily taking bribes and appearing on on lists such as the bribe takers list, then we have a problem in this country. So you see, all of those energies should be channeled into making sure that our roads are safe, especially at night. Now, can you believe the whole motorway? And like, everybody is saying this, but some way, somehow, it's still not working. You get to traffic lights, very huge intersections where there's a lot of vehicular movement, then traffic lights are not working. Okponglo, for instance, at night, traffic light. So the conversation is really, and it looks like the system to a very large extent is overwhelmed. But you realize that at the end of the month, somebody is being paid to ensure that some of these things are working. I recall some time ago on the City Breakfast Show where they were talking about a traffic light that had gone off. And when they discussed the issue and made a little noise about it, some 30 minutes later, the traffic light was on. So
it was here that we went to cut cake for a pothole around the cantonment.
And the following morning,
it was fixed.
So I don't get it sometimes. What is really the problem with some people in certain positions? You get it. So it's unfortunate that the police officer had to lose his life under very devastating circumstances like this, and we hope that authorities are taking notice of it to ensure that some of these problems are fixed. And government plays a leading role in this. It falls, the buck stops with
leadership. I keep saying this. I mean, the buck always stops with leadership. We need to take the bull by the horns, be up and doing. I mean, that there are those accidents that will be human induced, right? And then there are those that something is absent. There's some road infrastructure missing. Listen, I drive on the motorway every morning, every evening, and there are points you get there, it's pitch darkness.
And no amount of highlights to every headlight to every...
Exactly. It's just until recently, about a week ago, that the median has been cleared. It was bushy. You couldn't see the other side of the road. So if somebody skips and is skidding towards you, you have no idea. The only thing you hear is a bang, and that's it.
It's unfortunate.
Exactly. So we need to put measures in place.
State agencies are being funded to be doing and checking some of these things. It's just unfortunate.
Well, may his soul rest in peace. Let's move on to some other stories. And of course, the 2022 Hajj has come to an end. Some people some Muslims were taken to Mecca by the Hajj board. They have returned, and really, per this report, they are happy.
Some Muslims who embarked on this year's pilgrimage to Saudi Arabia have lauded the Hajj Board of Ghana for a largely successful religious exercise. According to them, the board adopted pragmatic initiatives to ensure the comfort of pilgrims. The last batch of the over 3,000 Ghanaian pilgrims touched down at the Kotaka International Airport on Monday, July 25, 2022, after a 3-week spiritual journey. Speaking to City News at the Hajj village, the board said enough preparations were made ahead of the exercise. City News' Anas Seidu reports.
This year, 2022, over 3,000 Muslims from Ghana embarked on pilgrimage to Saudi Arabia to observe Hajj. A number of them have arrived so far in the country. This is the last batch of pilgrims who are arriving at the Kotoka International Airport. We will try to engage some of them on their experiences of the 2022 Hajj.
It was fine, except that in every gathering, there's always shortcomings. And generally, it was okay. The Hajj board, they have done well.
I went to see the holy Kaaba, and I touched it with my hands, my bare hands. Yes, so it's an experience I would first like my family to know about. And then I also went to Muzdalifah, where everybody, you sleep on the bare floor.
It's very, 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 very good. They just entertain us well. We just get everything simple. There's no any problem. And Alhaji Faruku, she have done well for all of us.
Concerning about the food, the helping of us about our luggages, I think it's better.
A member of the Hajj board spoke to City News on preparations ahead of the 2022 Hajj.
Fortunately, quickly the chairman organized the group, and the group worked as a team that led to the success of the whole exercise. Ghana had really proved to the whole world that we can deliver at any given time. So we are able to deliver based on the schedule given to us and the preparation of the team that work together. We are clustered together, taking decisions together, working together, and we chop this success.
The Director of Finance of the board, Alhaji Farouk, revealed that the board had commenced processes to make refunds to potential pilgrims who could not make the journey.
No refunds actually will start from today. We made it clear, from when we were still in Saudi, that yes, indeed, we left behind about 100 or so pilgrims, and we have put in place measures to refund their monies fully. We are using this opportunity to ask all pilgrims who may have paid to us and for one or two reasons couldn't make it, to put in their applications for refund as soon as possible. We have a window of about 1 week to process all these applications, supported by the necessary documents or evidence of payment. Then we will process the refunds and everybody should be fine.
Unfortunately, 2 pilgrims lost their lives whilst undergoing Hajj.
Largely, this year Hajj was very successful. We had 2 people who lost their life during the rituals, 1 male, 1 female. It all happened in Mecca. The first one was in having her prayers when she suddenly collapsed and died. We regarded it as a natural death. The second one fell ill, and then we referred to one of the biggest hospitals in Saudi Arabia, where the person was admitted for about a week, and then finally could not also make it. These are the 2 people that died out of the over 3,000 pilgrims that we took to Saudi. We also have 1 woman who delivered in Saudi. The person came at the 9th month of pregnancy. She went into labor. Our midwife conducted the delivery successfully. Both mother and child are all doing well.
It's all joy here at the Hajj village at the Kotoka International Airport, as family and friends have gathered to welcome pilgrims from the Republic of Saudi Arabia. For City News, I am Anna Seidu reporting.
Also, a total of 3,069 pilgrims flown from Ghana to Saudi Arabia and back. Unfortunately, we lost some too.
Yeah, I mean, in a week where it's been a very difficult week with regards to stories that have been in the media, it's refreshing that we get some of these stories. The smiles on the faces of the pilgrimage, for instance, tell it all. So it's refreshing, like I'm saying, that some of these stories out there, the experience alone will live with some of these people for forever. But on the downside, there was the 2 people who lost their lives. You understand that there was a 3rd person who fell very ill and is being treated, hoping that she'll get back to being her very self and being at her best. So it's welcoming news. We want to commend and congratulate the Hajj board for a job well done. Initially, we were hearing some stories about delays and all of those things, but they weathered the storm.
Some people also being stranded, but I understand the board has made arrangements for those persons to show up and be refunded.
Which is a step in the right direction. But for the families that lost these 2 people, we want to wish them that they stay strong and they
our deepest condolences
to them. But super job by the Hajj.
Yeah, clearly, I mean, successful enough that we had non-Ghanaian pilgrims infiltrating the Ghanaian camp for some resources. I mean, that's great stuff.
And another interesting bit is where we hear in the news that a lady actually gave birth when she got there. So it will be an experience that will live with her forever. So, I mean, nice stuff. Congratulations to the Hajj board.
So let us know what you also think. I mean, we've done the budget, of course, police threatening police losing a life through an accident, and of course the 2022 pilgrimage to Mecca. Send us your thoughts, your comments, your contributions via the WhatsApp number 0550-585832. But stay with us, still to come. Motorists who drive on the Coca-Cola Road at Spintex in the Tema West municipality lament its bad nature. We'll be right back with the details. Don't go away. Welcome back. This is CNR Extra on City TV. My name is Nana Tufo-Boateng, and I'm here with Jude Mensah Duncan. We're now going to discuss roads, and we're taking you to the Spintex enclave, where some motorists have had cause to complain about the poor nature of the road around the Coca-Cola roundabout.
Motorists who drive on the Coca-Cola Road at Spintex in the Tema West municipality of Accra are lamenting its bad nature. According to them, their lives are at risk because of the bumpy nature of the road, and this has resulted in trucks carrying containers overturning on several locations on that stretch. City News' Philip Nilate has more in this report.
A number of heavy-duty vehicles ply the Coca-Cola to Spintex Road because of the many factories along the stretch. The road, though, has been reshaped several times by some companies in the area, it deteriorates during the rainy season. There have been reports of the tipping over of container-bearing trucks due to the destructive nature of the road. Motorists who often drive on this road want the government to fix the Coca-Cola to Spintex Road immediately.
This road, the condition of the road is really disturbing. You see, somewhere around Friday, one big truck even fell on this road, and then it has been consistent. So it's a very big situation that we have here. And this is also a very busy road. We have big companies on this road. So I think the condition on this road, it should be attended to. It's very critical. Maybe one day you might not hear good news because a truck can fall on either a pedestrian or even a smaller car. It's very disturbing. But truth be told, we that we use this road, we've given up. We've so given up on this because this is not the first time. So we don't know how, when and how this road will be fixed, but we really need it to be fixed anytime soon because it's very important. It should be now, you see, because most of these companies pay tax, and if they should use their money to fix this road, that means that the country is not serving them right. You see, maybe they can, but they won't because of they paying taxes. So it would be right for the government to come in and fill this road for them.
The name of this road, we usually call it Coca-Cola. Yeah, Coca-Cola Road. And yeah. But this road has been affecting the driver. Sometimes the tanker, they used to fall down, and sometimes we find it difficult to bypass here. And sometimes the bumper got to destroyed and stuff, and the water tanks and stuff. For 1 month, you have to visit the mechanic shop or fitting shop for about 3 times. And actually, if they can help us to fix the road, the authorities in this place, if they can help to fix the roads for us, we appreciate it.
We manage. You can see the road is not good, but always we manage to pass. Sometimes if you carry load from here to Coca-Cola, I used to suffer before get the correct distant road. We beg our elders to help so that the road can be fine for us.
Cynthia Anyete is a food vendor along the road, and she said the lives of vendors were at risk because of the deplorable road. According to her, the trend of some heavy-duty trucks falling over on the road, especially when it rains, scares them.
Never found a top from never told her any 4 days, and I have much for nearby a proper until driver anybody can say one in yet. Yes, the driver and see a new driver. To no course, and it's Chia who happen on being on million almost 3 pennacan at all from. T. A China emerald from some say, Obi Shassi, and I'm so there be no being tremo. A one tea. Empire near boss and Yamin woman on May, Keke MIA. A yes, Ropa. It's a panty content and a bapenina fear. Near Jania could. Well, see a quantity a mayor. A mayor Marco for a quantity and yet.
The Tema West Municipal Assembly says work will soon commence to permanently fix the road. According to the MC, Anana Adukwe Ado, the Assembly in the interim will embark on a reshaping exercise to make the stretch motorable.
It is not under the purview of the Assembly because it's not within our budget. It is urban roads that's supposed to handle this one. And I know that since I came, I started working last year, October, and it came to my attention. I know that it has been given on a contract. So far, the contractor has been working from the from Sakumono traffic light up to KFC Junction, Community 18 Junction. Currently, I know that he's demobilized to some equally important road. So I know that he's gone on another side. As an assembly, we have decided to do some patch work. And so we are in the process of procuring a contractor, going through the procurement process to give out an award a contract for a contractor to do the patchwork on the road.
How soon that would happen?
From almost 2 weeks, about 2 weeks. Let me see.
That is when it's going to start.
We will start, yes. Since we are going to start something as an intervention or interim measure, I believe that it will go a long way to help them for now, till the contractor moves on site. We are going to do some reshaping, or upgrading or something over there. I've spoken with my roads engineer, and we know that we are going to go back.
For motorists who ply this stretch, traders who work in this community or this area, and also workers who also do their business in this particular enclave, all they are asking for is for government to pay attention to this road and get it fixed to avert any disaster that may occur in the future. Reporting for City News, my name is Philip Ni Latte.
Well, you can understand the frustration of the MC. I mean, if allocations to metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies have been cut by 30%, really, I mean, where are the resources for some of these things to be? But then again, just like the government is going into some of these public-private partnerships, I think the assembly should be towing the same line.
Yeah.
Pick up the roads within enclaves where the companies are located, go into some sort of arrangements with them. Clearly, the benefits of same roads, so they would agree and meet you at some point. So the decision will be taken on what type of reconstruction or rehabilitation, or even construction from scratch can be done to help address some of these challenges.
Yeah, I mean, if you understand how our local government system works, some of these issues about road doesn't fall directly to the MP of the area to address.
The MC or the DC.
Or the DC that should be taking it up, making sure that they are working to fix some of these things. But now, you know, one thing that is really wrong with how we've gone about doing things in this country is the fact that we've over the years had a high blood pressure for deeds, for rhetorics. We've had a high blood pressure of rhetorics and an anemia. An anemia of deeds and doing the actual work. So it is what it is. You hear government communicators shout year of roads, 10,857 kilometers constructed. It's a lot of rhetorics and a lot of just
lip service.
Service. That's the word I'm looking for. But if you go to the ground and you want to really assess what they've done, it's really a struggle. This morning on the City Breakfast Show, they interviewed the Deputy Minister of Roads.
He was unable to give us 5 completed roads.
Exactly what I'm saying. So, so we've built a system where there's a sort of high blood pressure for rhetorics and an anemia for the actual work. The actual work. And that doesn't help. We don't build nations like that. Like this, So we expect that they pay attention to that road. Most importantly, because that area is an industrial hub. There's Coca-Cola there, there's Casapreco there, there are some other shops
companies. I mean,
and companies. All of those companies are there. Can you imagine how to benefit the economy if the road is working? Because when they spoil their vehicles on the road, the repair cost and everything sometimes are directly passed on to the consumers. So we need to start looking at some of these things again. But like I'm saying, the MCs should be playing a key role in fixing some of the problems at the local level.
All right, many thanks to you, Jude Mensah Duncan. Always great having a conversation with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nana.
A big thank you to you for tuning in and for watching CNR Extra on City TV. My name is Nana Tufo Boateng. We'll see you again.